Hello and welcome to the show, brought to you as always with the support of Mediaproxy. So broadcast microservice specialist nxtedition have further enhanced their production and playout platform with nxtcloud, which is a complete deployment of nxtedition that runs entirely in the public cloud.
And joining us today is Adam Leah. He's the creative director for nxtedition, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about nxtcloud. Hi Adam, great to see you.
It's great to see you two gentlemen, and always nice to be on KitPlus TV. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So first off, very excited to be chatting to you because this is potentially game changing now. Why did you decide to launch a cloud-based version of nxtedition?
So basically what we really wanted to do was sort of respond to the market a little. There's a lot of conversations around cloud, and we've firmly been an on-prem solution. We've used some small services in the cloud, things like AI and things like some storage for and transcode services. But generally speaking, most of the things have been on the ground. I think the big game changer for us was to containerize the Casper CG. So we've been using a Casper CG, which is an open source project in COTS hardware on the ground to do HDSDI outputs to mixers and obviously to audio desks with the audio feeds. But obviously, when you go into the cloud and you're in IP streams, we can say goodbye to all those cards. So what we did was we just took that project and we moved it into a container. We containerized it and Linuxified it. And now we can spin it up in the cloud. So that's the last piece of the jigsaw, because everything else inside nxtedition was a microservice. And now the Casper CG is a microservice living inside the instances. So that means that potentially up in the cloud, you can have as many playout graphics machines as you like, and then you can spin them all down again as you see fit. But the whole of the rest of nxtedition is exactly the same user experience as anyone who's using it on the ground.
So the technology behind it, can you give us a bit more insight into how you made? I mean, it just seems a bit odd, taking something physical, putting it in the cloud. How did you make nxtcloud work?
Well, like I say before, we could always install everything up to a point in the cloud. So you could have the MAM up there, you could have the social media, you could have all the transcode stuff. All that stuff it was all cloud installable. But the stumbling block was this Casper CG on the ground to get that SDI output, right? Because a lot of people have legacy situations. It's an interesting debate on-prem and cloud. On-prem has its advantages and it has its disadvantages, and the cloud has its advantages and has its disadvantages. So what we've tried to do here is we've tried to move as much up into the cloud as we possibly can, which is pretty much everything, and to sort of demonstrate to a point what you could do here, for instance, just as an example, is you could spin up 2 Casper CG's instances that are attached to Next. And what that would give you is 4 outputs. That's 4 outputs that can have graphics, video, audio, or stills, and it's unlimited amount of layers. So effectively, one channel becomes an unlimited amount of layers in an ME bank, effectively, and an audio mixer. So you could have 4 channels. You could take one SRT stream into Next. You could split that SRT stream down the 4 lines and the 4 channels. You could have the same graphics templates, but you could send metadata for different languages. So now you've got 4 languages, and then you take 4 audio streams and you push those down each line as well. And then you've got independent language commentary for, say, a football match or something like that, which means you've got all that localization, personalization, and you can scale that up. And every time you spin up another one, you get another 2 channels, another 2 channels, another 2 channels. And all these streams can be recorded as well in the cloud, so we can actually record them. The beautiful thing is that, of course, you don't pay anything to push stuff up to the cloud, and then we never bring it back down again because we're playing out from up there. So you get no egress costs when you're bringing it down.
Just a quick one: will this nxtcloud entirely replace your on-prem services, or will you continue to run them all alongside as they were, and eventually, who knows what the future holds?
That's a great question. So, of course, this is a 2-pronged thing. The other thing that this does is it provides disaster recovery situations for our on-prem customers. So what we've done is we've created replication. What we're talking about here is a complete hybrid solution. So if you have a nxtedition installation on the ground and all the benefits that you get from that, okay, that's all your HDSDI feeds out or your 2110 feeds out, whatever, and that you've got all that set up in your studios, and that's fine. And then all the journalists can be working on their scripts all day long, and they're always replicating to the cloud, always replicating up to the cloud instance. So what then happens is if you lose the power grid in the studio, then the journalist turns their phone on because it's unlikely you'll lose the mast as well. And then you just log into the cloud, and your script is the same as you left it when the power went off, because we're doing this replication.
Right.
We're also pushing mezzanine formats up to playout. So if you want the high res to go up, you can have the high res up there if you want. But we push up a mezzanine format to track the playout list that then can go to the playout channel, which means that you just flip the cloud version, and the cloud version will be continuing doing the playout channel. So it's disaster recovery as well. And that's where you get this hybrid between the, on the ground, we're ground to sky here. This is a ground to sky solution that has benefits in just being in the cloud on its own. It also has benefits when it's working with a Next system. And if you lose your internet connection, well, you've got a ground system as well. So we're trying to make sure that we cover all the pros and cons of both and have just pros.
Yeah, clever.
I mean, we've spoken multiple times before, Adam, and we've got the general feeling that nxtedition is basically a total production package. Will the cloud version be the same? And can you talk us through a few of the features that we're going to have available to us when using nxtcloud?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question in respect that, of course, there's nothing to show you, because if you've already seen Next demonstrated in various ways, it doesn't actually look or feel any different. But actually this here, what you're seeing here, in reality, this is nxtcloud, and it's streaming to this YouTube channel here. So what I've got is, these are the SRT feeds, individual SRT feeds that are actually being sent from my Next station back in our HQ. So I've ISO'd the cameras and put SRT feeds out of Next, and they're now coming up into the cloud, and I'm seeing them here as sources. So, for instance, it's pretty easy to just cut cameras here. We can also do things like there's a little bit of latency that you get from YouTube, but that's the TX output. And then, for instance, the Casper CG also has an inbuilt mixer, like a DVE, so you can scale things and move things. So you can do these like squeeze back effects. And if I just put that, say, to camera 3, the squeeze back's now showing you, this is singular live graphics underneath. So that's a layer underneath. Yeah. So we've pulled ourselves off that, and then we're there. And then, for instance, if I want to bring up, let's see if I can find something that might be familiar to you gentlemen. I'll just go to the playlist, and I'll just play on the playlist. And that should now bring up KitPlus TV. So now I'm broadcasting a channel effectively.
There we go.
This is what our next one channel will be. I'm doing this all in the cloud. There isn't any of the infrastructure backup base. The only thing that base is doing is sending up the SRT feeds for these cameras. But the rest of this stuff is all being done completely in the cloud.
And so for large broadcast, localization is an issue, and something we've covered in the past, I think. How are you? Is this handling it in the same way as ever before? Is this handling it any differently? Is it the abilities there?
Yeah, it's the ability to be able to send multiple streams of metadata alongside video. So we've done this a lot with one of our customers in Switzerland, where they render the graphics and the subtitles on the phone. So when you turn the phone, the stream doesn't stop. And we've kind of been developing along those lines of object-based broadcasting. So we're able to send, a subtitle stream in one language alongside a subtitle stream in another, and then we'll split them off and put them on the two separate channels, for instance. And the same now we're learning to do with audio and also with the graphics we've already done. There are things around like the singular lives of this world, whether you can actually bring that in as well, and we can integrate with that and send data to that. So, in real time for things like elections or sports or stuff like that. So, it's, localization and personalization is what you get when you're dealing with microservices, and I always say, I'm starting to say we're the best in breed for microservices because we've been doing this for 7 years now, and I think it goes.
And does the whole cloud element of this, does that enable you to offer new features and updates a lot easier than the on-prem solution?
Well, I mean, new features and updates, that's one of the beauties of microservices. We never have to take the system down to do an update or to deploy a new feature because they're just small containers. So we just add a container to the swarm and then that's the new feature, or we update that part of the system without bringing the whole system down to update it. So, we do real-time updates. I mean, you can even, for instance, in the cloud, you can actually have, I don't know if you remember my friend, the raccoon, but we can even send the raccoon to a lair here having it dance across the screen. So, this layering
Cool.
and all the rest of that stuff is all built in and all done in the cloud. I'm really thrilled with it, actually, to be honest.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I guess the only, and I don't want this to come across as a negative question, but the last question for me really is what about if I really don't want to be part of the cloud? What about if I really just want this to be the same as it always was? Can I operate still in the same way, or is this kind of an enforced upgrade really if you're dealing with
No,
NxtEdition?
absolutely not. No, I mean,
I can still go on-prem.
Our existing customers have on-prem solutions. We're still providing on-prem solutions. We're never going to stop providing on-prem solutions because, as I said, there's advantages and disadvantages to on-prem. There's advantages, disadvantages to cloud.
Cool.
It's just that ability. If I said to someone, would you like to have a disaster recovery system totally synced with your ground station? Yeah, sure. But that doesn't have to be in another building or anything like that. It can be up there. And then you get an SRT feed up there just while you're getting everything back up and running.
Yeah. And is this available now, Adam?
It is. People can give us a call and we can give them a demo and we can move from there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Do check out everything Adam's been talking about on nxtedition.com, where you can find all the information on Nextcloud. Thanks to Mediaproxy for their support, KitPlus TV, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.